Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you tonight for this album review. I'm sorry that it's taken me quite a while to get to this album review for the new Thornhill Bodies album that I got a chance to listen to for myself, see what I was going to think of this record overall. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for their next album in their discography, Bodies, for the 11 tracks and a 37-minute runtime, and let you know my thoughts on this under 40-minute album. So let's dive into this album review. Now it starts with Diesel, which is one of the worst tracks on the record. One of them. Pretty much you're not going to be seeing a great review. I will tell you this much. I'm not a fan of Jacob's vocals. I don't know, it's just his harmonizing, it just doesn't mesh well with the tracks, honestly. But with Diesel, it tried with the screaming, but execution wise, and sorry about the ding, that's my phone. Um, Execution wise, this track just had its hit or miss moments, so this was basically a letdown. 2.5 out of 5. Then we get to the next track, which is Revolver, 2.75 out of 5 for me. I'm not feeling for this song either. I mean, it had good screaming vocals from Jacob, but it's just the way the song's meshing together with like melodic vocals, with more goth emo vocals for the metalcore post grunge kind of stuff. It just does not work. So I'm just not feeling for this track for 4 minutes and 14 seconds. You're in for quite a dull song that goes nowhere. So 2.75 out of 5. Silver Swarm was one of the singles for the record. I think it was the third single, if I remember correctly. But it's not. I mean, the melody doesn't sound bad, but it's kind of a disappointing track in its own way. The only reason why is because some of the mixing and production is just all over the place. It's a 2.75 out of 5 for me. It at least tried, but it still was a letdown, this track. And it made it as one of the worst songs of January 2025. One of them. It wasn't the worst track, but it is on the worst songs of January 2025. I know I added it to the March section. I just didn't. I kept forgetting about it and passing it by, that track. But overall, Silver Swarm's a 2.75 out of 5 for me. Only Ever You. Quite a boring track for 4 minutes and 15 seconds. You're in for just laziness and bad mixing and production everywhere. It just does not mesh well with how Jacob's singing the track. I'm not connecting with this song for how it is. So, pretty much this is a disappointing 2.75 out of 5 for me for this one as well. So, I was very torn by this track. Mostly the Silver Swarm, because at least it tried. But overall, yeah, pretty much 2.75 out of 5 for me. Fall Into the Wind was a good song, surprisingly, and even though it was just an interlude track for 1 minute and 32 seconds, the mixing was on point with this one. That's what I could feel for with this track. But everything else about the song is just quite a letdown. So this is not a letdown. It's just a good track to reiterate what I was trying to say. I was just getting distracted by something on the Wikipedia. So technically, this is the third album in their discography, but overall, 4.5 out of 5. Tongues had some good screaming moments from Jacob, but the execution with this track just didn't work. It just was weird. It was all over the place. This band is not the band for me. And I've illustrated that um, in the Heroin album review when I did that in 2022, a few years ago. So, pretty much Tongues is a 2.75 out of 5 for me. Nerve and Tongues was the last single, actually, to pretty much illustrate that it was the fourth single for this record's announcement. But overall, it was just a bad song. So, to continue, Nerve had some good moments, but it just was a flop. It only flopped only because it just, I don't know, the mixing and the production just didn't, it didn't really connect with me, this track. It tried, but I just wasn't feeling for it. Jacob's vocals was all over the place with this track, and it tried, but it flopped. So 2.75 out of 5. Obsession is quite a dull song. I couldn't get on board with this one either as the lead single, and Nerve was the second single later on in 2024 when it came out. But overall, not feeling for uh, Obsession, so 2.75 out of 5. It was one of my worst songs of 2024. And so was Nerve as well. I thought Nerve was going to grow on me, but it just didn't. It kind of was forgettable, and so was Obsession and the rest of these songs. So finally, we get to the last three tracks, Crush, and I'll mention the last two in a second. Crush is just pitiful of a track. It's just the mixing is pretty bad. The electronic work in it is just cringy. And I'm just not connecting with this track for how it sounds. So this is a 2.5 out of 5. Under the Knife is a disappointing track too, just not feeling for it overall. It had some interesting moments, but it failed in the execution of how the performance was for this track. So Jacob's vocals just was a big disconnect for me. It had good moments, but his vocals kind of make it seem underwhelming to listen through. So 2.75 out of 5 for me. So, and finally, the closing track for now closes the record. Disappointing one too. Just not feeling for it. I mean, granted, it is the closing track, so at least it was a shorter record than the last record. But overall, I just wasn't feeling for now, the closing track. So 2.75 out of 5 for me. Overall, production, mixing, and execution-wise, I think Thornhill Bodies, for their new album, it tried, but it failed. It is as bad as Heroin. Probably worse than Heroin, honestly. Because I think I gave Heroin like a 5.5 out of 10. So give me a second, I gotta pause the video. Sorry for the wait, guys. Had to help my mom out for a second. I had to talk to her about something. She needed me to come talk to her for a moment. But yeah, overall production, mixing, and execution-wise, to get back on track, I think Thornhill Bodies is worse than Heroin. Probably, it's a little worse. It's just the songs I've listened to from this record are not memorable. There's only one interlude track that was good. The rest were kind of piss poor garbage. So I don't understand why some people think they're good. I mean, granted, they're entitled to like what they want to like. I know a certain YouTuber reviewed this album recently and gave it like praise. I'm like, that's fine. If you like it, more power to you. But me, I've never liked Thornhill. With how they make their music, it comes off weird and cringy and just plays it safe too much. And they try too hard. They're a try hard band. So they try to make it good, but in the execution and how the albums turn out, they're kind of a flop in my eyes. So if I were to give Bodies its deserved score, I'm feeling a low 5 out of 10. It's not a good album. It's just disappointing. It's not one of the worst records of the year, but it is a bad album for sure. So, all in all, 5 out of 10 for Thornhill Bodies, their new record that came out as of today. I know it's almost April 5th, which I hope you guys had a good start for your week. I mean, my start for the week was pretty crappy for certain reasons and certain things that happened, but I can't go into explanation about that. I'm just only talking to you about reviews and all that. If you saw my community post, you know that I only wanted to say I can't reveal that, but all I can say is my week didn't do so well. So, all I know is I'm out of a job and I'm just gonna look for better opportunities that come my way. So, until then, 5 out of 10 for Thornhill Bodies. Hope you enjoyed this album review tonight, and thank you guys for watching.